Hey there, focus learners. Welcome back to today's explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me for this one. Today, we're going to explore something that is completely invisible, yet it literally surrounds us every single day. It shapes almost every single decision we make. We're going to decode a concept that we're calling the architecture of persuasion.
So let's jump right in. Have you ever stopped to wonder, simply, why we say yes? Think about it for a second. What are the hidden forces constantly guiding our behavior? Because whether it's agreeing to do a favor for a friend, making an impulse purchase online, or supporting a new idea at work, there's actually a structured underlying logic to why we comply. To figure that out, we'll be exploring 6 principles of influence, organized into building bonds, external cues, inner drives, and finally, who makes your choices. All right, let's step into our first category, building bonds, where we'll look at reciprocity and liking. Think about the last time you were at a restaurant and the waiter brought you the check with a single little mint sitting on the tray. Chances are your tip probably went up. That right there is reciprocity. It's this deep, almost automatic psychological drive we have to return a favor. Basically, if you do something for someone, they are vastly more likely to do something for you in return just to settle the score. The mechanics of this are incredibly reliable. Step 1, you initiate by doing a favor. Step 2, human psychology practically takes care of the rest. It sounds super basic, but that simple initial act almost guarantees a reciprocal response. It's just how we're wired. And that naturally leads us to our second bond-building principle, liking. It's an undeniable truth of human nature that we are significantly more open to persuasion from people we actually feel genuine affection for. But what exactly makes us like someone? Well, the source breaks it down into 3 really reliable factors. First up is physical attractiveness. This often creates a halo effect where we just assume good-looking people are also smart and kind. Second is similarity. We naturally gravitate toward people who share our background or maybe have the same hobbies. And third is praise. Seriously, simple compliments, even if we secretly know they're just trying to flatter us, work absolute wonders on our willingness to say yes. Now, notice the distinction here. Reciprocity is entirely action-based, right? It requires an event, a returned favor. Liking, on the other hand, is trait-based. It relies entirely on personal attributes and affection, whether that's attractiveness, similarity, or someone giving you some well-timed praise. Moving right along, let's enter our second category, external cues. We'll be examining social proof and authority. When we're faced with a choice and we really lack information, our immediate mental shortcut is to observe and mimic the crowd. That is social proof. It's exactly why older sitcoms use laugh tracks and why we always assume the restaurant with the line wrapped around the block has to have the best food. Listen to this direct quote from the source. If others are doing something, individuals are more likely to do it too. This drives home the raw, unbelievable power of herd mentality. It completely bypasses our critical thinking. We just assume the group knows something we don't, which makes it the right choice by default. But wait, there is a powerful counterpart to the crowd, and that's authority. When we're seeking external cues, we don't just look sideways at our peers. We also have this deep-seated desire to look upward, to recognize leaders and credible experts. Our minds are constantly weighing these 2 external cues against each other. Do we rely on social proof and follow the actions of the many? Or do we rely on authority and defer to the knowledgeable few? Either way, both provide a really handy roadmap when we're feeling lost. All right, finally, let's jump into our third category, inner drives. We're going to explore consistency and scarcity. Commitment and consistency is this immense psychological pressure that essentially forces us to align our current actions with our past choices. It's the exact reason why signing a simple, seemingly harmless petition today makes you drastically more likely to donate real money to that very same cause tomorrow. Just trace the lifespan of a typical decision. You make an initial commitment, and it can be completely trivial. Time passes. Then suddenly you're agreeing to a much larger request simply because you want to remain consistent with that very first choice. Your past essentially locks in your future. Wild, right? And our final principle is scarcity. This is such a fascinating quirk of the human mind. The mere perception of limited availability. Like seeing a flashing red banner online that says only 2 rooms left at this price, instantly and dramatically increases an item's value to us. It's a stark inverse relationship. High availability? That equals lower value in our minds. But shrink that availability and boom, our perceived value skyrockets. When we think we can't have something, we want it so much more. So, on the one hand, we have commitment, which is driven by an intense desire for inner consistency. And on the other hand, we have scarcity, which is our frantic reaction to limited availability. Both of these compel us to act from a deep place of internal psychological pressure. We've explored the bonds, the cues, and the drives. Let's wrap this up with one final question. Who makes your choices? Here's the complete blueprint, the whole shebang. We're influenced by building bonds through reciprocity and liking. We navigate uncertainty using external cues like social proof and authority. And our inner drives are steered by consistency and scarcity. So, the absolutely crucial point you should take away from this explainer is that these 6 distinct principles, reciprocity, consistency, social proof, authority, liking, and scarcity, they do not operate in a vacuum. They combine to form an ever-present, invisible structure that guides human behavior literally everywhere you look. This truly is the architecture of persuasion. Which brings us right back to where we started, but hopefully with a totally new perspective. Now that you can clearly see the blueprint, who is really making your choices? Keep your eyes open out there, focused learners. Try to spot these forces at work in your own life today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.